Welcome to the presentation of 3D-Auth, two-factor authentication with personalized 3D printed items. I'm Karola Marky from the Tele Cooperation Lab at Technische Universität Darmstadt in Germany, and let's start. I would like to start with a brief introduction into two-factor authentication. Let's consider a user who is at home and the user wants to connect to a digital service. They start by entering the user ID and a password, which in most of the cases is the first authentication factor in two-factor authentication. But why do we need two factors in the first place? Passwords have several weaknesses from a security point of view. For instance, the password might get phished, there might be a virus on the user's computer, or the password database of a service might get hacked and leaked, or the password might get stolen on the way. And from a security point of view, adding a second factor enhances the situation, because if the passwords get stolen, the attacker also needs to get the second factor in order to impersonate the user. So how does such a second factor look like? It could be a biometrical feature of the user, such as the user's fingerprint. It could be some other biometrical data, or it could be something that the user owns. And this could also be like a one-time password. For instance, this can be generated by one-time password generators. There are also possibilities to use credit cards or other banking cards as a second factor in online banking, or a one-time password might be generated by an application on a smartphone. And in the remainder here, I would like to talk about this physical representation of a second factor. While in general, the physical representation works, that means the second factor here is usable, people can successfully log into their online banking and authorize transactions, there are still some weaknesses that are present in these physical representations. The first one is that it lacks customization. That means if a user now wants to use a specific mechanism, they have to use it in the representation that is given by the provider. For instance, the one-time password generator on the lower left just looks this way. But it might be that the user wants to have like a more personalized shape, such as the shape of their favorite animal or whatever. The second issue is connected to the usage of the factor. And by saying here I can't use it, I don't mean usability. I mean that the second factor is not available. It might be that people have it at home, or that the second factor is reliant on an energy source such as batteries or mobile network, and those the batteries can run out, or the mobile network might not be available. And because of that, the user cannot authenticate successfully. And with this in mind, I would like to introduce the concept of 3D-Auth to you. Please also consider that when we made 3D-Auth, we didn't want to improve an existing physical representation. We just wanted to start new from scratch, while also we want to try to address some weaknesses of the password. So how does 3D-Auth work? 3D-Auth is based on personal 3D printed items. Here you can see a simplified example in the form of a combination lock. The red material is an insulating material. Could be any plastic, and the black material is conductive. That means it can be sensed by a commercial touchscreen. And because of that, we don't need any additional energy sources, but of course we are limited to devices with touchscreens. So let me explain to you how authentication with a 3D-Auth item works. First of all, it is based on a secret that is encoded in the item's internal structure. Here you can see this little dot on the top, which is the top of the secret, basically. This represents the factor of ownership. The second factor is added by interacting with the device. That means the user has to know how to interact with the device, and both together activate touch points in the bottom of the 3D-Auth item. And those touch points, they form an authentication pattern. So let me show you how that works. In the video here, you see the simplification of the inner of a 3D-Auth item. In the middle, you see the secret, and interacting with the item changes its configuration. Now we have two touch points that can be sensed by the touchscreen once the user touches the conductive structure. But of course, this is highly simplified, and a real 3D-Auth item has a way more complex internal structure. Now, to generate possible interactions that the users can use to authenticate, we conducted expert design studies. with a total of 19 experts from the areas human-computer interaction, security, psychology, and design. We presented different usage contexts and settings to them. And finally, our study resulted in 5 categories of possible authentication interactions that I will explain on the next slides. The first possible category of interaction is called touch. In this category, the user touches the 3D-Auth item in a predefined spot. As you can see, we've also developed a prototype for the touch item, and here you can see 4 possible spots where the user can touch the item, and the authentication pattern is a subset of them. Considering arrangement, that means that the user has a 3D-Auth item on the display of the device and arranges it somehow. For this category, we built a prototype of a slider with 10 possible positions. For the assembly category, we build Lego-like building blocks. That means we have a set of different items and we have to assemble them together to a final 3D-Auth item. For configuration, that means that we change the configuration basically of the item by turning it, rotating it, or pressing parts of it. We build a combination log that you have just seen earlier. And finally, we consider the category of augmentation, where we will add water or air to change the item's configuration. And here we build a little water tank in which you can add different amounts of water with a syringe. As you can see, all our items have an identical color, and we tried to have that they have similar dimensions and also a similar shape. And here you have a little video of the interaction with the items. To evaluate our items, we did a user study with 25 participants. They were on average 36.6 years old, 8 of them identified as female, 15 identified as male, 1 person preferred not to say, and 1 identified as other. During our study, we captured the following data. First of all, we assessed usability in terms of effectiveness and efficiency. That means we captured whether the participants in our user study were actually able to successfully authenticate, and if they were, how long did it take? Then we also gathered some feedback together with the user experience questionnaire in its 6 scales. After a retention of 10 days, we invited the participants to our lab again to check if they still can authenticate successfully and also to measure how memorable the interactions are. And finally, we also collected additional feedback in terms of adoption and the preferences of the participants, and also some scopes where the participants would like to use the items. The procedure of our user study was as follows. First of all, we welcomed the participants to our lab and we asked them to provide demographics. Then we explained the user study material to them. Basically, that consisted of 5 different intent cards, and each card had a description on how to authenticate with the 3D-Auth item. We did this to have a standardized possibility to communicate this with the participants. Then the participants interacted with all of the 3D-Auth items. That means the study was within subjects, and the order of the conditions was randomized by Latin-based square in order to mitigate sequence effects. Once the participant has completed the interaction with all items, we gave them a final questionnaire and proceeded with the debrief. Now let me present the results of our study. First of all, in terms of effectiveness and efficiency. Considering the touch item, 92% of all participants were able to correctly interact with it instantly, and that took on average 17 seconds. The main reason for not interacting with it correctly was basically placing it upside down. Considering the slider, which represents our arrangement category, 68% of participants were able to interact with it correctly and needed an average 27 seconds. The main reason for not interacting with it correctly was placing the slider upside down. We don't consider this to be problematic because you could actually print an additional line that the smartphone can recognize the orientation of an item, and then it's no longer problematic. 84% of participants correctly interacted with the building blocks, and they needed 54 seconds with it, which also is longest. This is due to the fact that the participants first had to figure out how to connect the items together. Considering our configuration log, 68 participants interacted with it correctly and needed about 43 seconds to do so. The main reason for not interacting with it correctly was actually, as you have seen earlier in the video, in the end it is needed to touch the 2 dots on top, and some participants simply only touched 1 dot. Finally, considering the water tank, 88% of participants interacted with it correctly and on average needed 47 seconds. After retention of 10 days, we invited the participants again, and the memorability of 3D-Auth items was generally always over 90%, which is pretty good. Now that we have spoken about the usability of 3D-Auth, let me talk a little bit about the security in terms of the password space. The password space is all possible combinations how we configure a 3D-Auth item. And our prototypes here, they are limited in terms of that because we actually focused on the usability, and that is actually a prototype that is working instead of providing something with the Wizard of Oz study. So how many possible combinations does the touch item have? The touch item has these 4 dots and they can be touched in 15 different possibilities. The slider has 10 positions to slide, thus the password space is also 10. The building blocks can be put together in 26 different positions and also considering the rotation of the item. The combination log has by far the largest password space with 1000 possible combinations. Each layer has 10 possible positions and there are 3 layers. Finally, the water tank has the smallest with only 3 possible combinations, since we can recognize 3 different amounts of water. And as you can see, this is not practical from a security point of view because, the water tank, it won't take really long to perform a brute force attack on that. So now I would like to show you how we aim to secure 3D-Auth items, and it is also lengthily discussed in the paper. And therefore, we revisit the authentication pattern. We consider the authentication pattern to be a set of dots in the bottom of the 3D-Auth item. It doesn't have to be uniform, it could be any kind of distribution. Those dots are turned into touch points at first by the encoded secret. Then, depending on the interaction, a second subset of touch points of conductive dots is turned into touch points, and those 2 together form the authentication pattern. In the paper, based on that, we have calculated the password space of entirely 3D-Auth. So like the complete password space, considering that we have access to raw data and that 3D printing will be more sophisticated in the future. And we calculated over 33 million possible combinations. As you can see, this is a way better security than our prototype items. I would like to conclude the talk with showing you a little bit more sophisticated items that we think 3D-Auth will look like this in the future. But first of all, you can have like tiny little items that you carry around with you. It could be also some decorative material, like this little guitar that you can put your water in, or you could print the shape of your favorite animal, such as this little cat, as a 3D-Auth item, or it could even be as tiny as a keychain that you can carry around with you, and you cannot see that is an authentication item. The items can be distributed among different people and enable group authentication by that. So let me conclude. 3D-Auth is a stepping stone for customizable authentication. Our study demonstrates its usability and the memorability of authentication interactions, and we consider more sophisticated items as a next step. If you have any questions, feel free to write me an email or reach out to me on social media. And now I would also like to show you the other talks from the Telecooperation Lab at CHI 2020. Bye!